welcome back to another session, live tutorial on how to make drawings on your phone using the Paintology drawing app. And you'll see here that I've just completed a drawing on the other channel, Paintology, and you'll see how I make this drawing. As it turned out, I actually like the droplet that's right at the end of the leaf. And so this was done in one sitting with probably about 1 hour, 20 minutes while I was talking through the drawing on the phone. So if you're new to this, you will see that I typically draw with, sorry about that, so look, I'm careful I don't press something different. So I typically draw on my phone here, and I encourage you to buy a cheap stylus if you're going to draw a lot and you want to improve your drawing. And the reason for Paintology is exactly that. Not just to show you what the app does and what it can do, but to teach you more about drawing techniques which are fundamental to all art mediums. And Paintology is a digital medium that doesn't work on the same principles as the other apps where they throw tool after tool, for blending, blurring, shading, layers, filling, auto corrections, you name it, every tool under the sun. And when you have that packed into a drawing app, you become highly dependent on the tools. And what I'm showing you in Paintology are techniques, art techniques that can cross barriers between any art mediums. Because you've probably noticed that someone who's good at a particular medium in traditional can transition more easier to the other mediums, but typically some people do not do that, and the reason for not doing that is because they don't have the open-mindedness of trying out new mediums, or they feel way too comfortable with the current medium and they feel they haven't stretched their limitations. Whereas me, I'm an experimentalist. I like to try out many different things and experiment. And experiment is one of the key points of becoming good at art or any other skill for that matter. You will you will see that someone who has the curiosity as well as the interest to go further will definitely always do well. Even if they make mistakes, they continue and then they learn from it and then just keep adding to their set of skills until they're at a level which is hard for most people to reach, right? So that's the kind of art that you will see on YouTube, and many people are just baffled by it, so they end up just watching it and marveling at the piece of creativity and also the skills like shown off by the artist. But Paintology is different. It's actually designed to show you how you can attain these skills and how you can attain these techniques, right? So that's why we did a very simple drawing here, as you can see on the phone. So before I dive into the actual, let me see which drawing we're going to do. Let's save that just in case. And then I'm going to take this image, and we're going to make this drawing here. You can see here. So it's very similar to the other one, but it's different. It's got more of the background, and it's got one droplet down there. So it's a pretty image to look at. In terms of drawing, it can look challenging to the beginner or even someone who's tried their hands in painting. But I will break it down. So the important thing is I can break it down to a level that wasn't done before in traditional. And the reason why traditional is still a mystery to most people who are beginning art, and most often they throw their arms up in the air and give up, is because the drawing process, which is fundamental to drawing, is something which is intuitive to the artist, but not easy to convey to the fellow student. And this is where, again, the digital app is very technical. It tells you where do you need to go. Not technical, I mean very sequential in the sense that if I show you that I use one line brush and then adjust the density and I adjust this, it's fairly easy for you to understand, and that is really all it takes for you to do this drawing. And I, just like I did the other drawing earlier that I showed you. Let's look at a few resources before I dive in. I'd like you to look at the Google Classroom if you're serious about learning, is to join this classroom because it's been structured with a lot of tutorials that is available on the phone. If you click on the link on tutorials, you'll be able to see it. These are linked to those tutorials, and so you can paste your drawing and bring it up to speed. So don't rush. I would encourage you not to rush. What I mean, I discourage you to rush, but I would encourage you to take it step by step, and you'll find that your skills, because if you're beginning, you have no skills at all, and you come with a lot of preconceived ideas of what you want to do, and you're keen to get going, and you're keen to get to the level where I am as well, which you can do in a very short period of time, providing you follow what I have put down here. Remember, these are all based on my experience and putting them down for you to benefit from it. So these are the lots of drawing exercises, and you can work at your own pace and submit. So I encourage you to take that instead of just following my live stream. It will really ground you in the basics and fundamentals. And of course, if you are a rapid learner, you can skip those steps and jump a few exercises ahead, right? And the other thing I want to show you is that for this particular class, you can find the reference image that I use for this drawing in the live streams. Go to paintology.com, click on the link that's just below the video, and you'll come to a page here. And then here you'll see 22nd September under the YouTube live streams links, and then you will see that the image link for Paintology, which was this, and now we have the image link for this particular drawing we're going to do. So this is where you can come, and I usually put information ahead of time for you to get ready for the downloaded image and then get ready for the class that I'm going to show you on the live stream. So that's one of the tabs. The other ones I want to show you are, of course, paintology.com, and also I would like you to look at Quora platform. You'll see that in the Quora there is a paintology.quora.com there, and then you can go under my profile as well. If you look under Produce Karlik, you will see that I have over 1,400 questions I've answered related to drawing, and you're bound to find something that relates to you, okay? So in this Paintology space in Quora, I keep up to date with a lot of the important information or the daily drawings, and I give you a quick blurb on this, right? So let's see here. So I've got an updated, I can show you. This is a drawing that I did, a one brush drawing, and then this was live stream sessions I did. So plenty to read and get along with. So let's dive in right now to this drawing here. So the first thing you want to do is you want to use the block coloring, and block coloring is such a superb way for you to get into drawing without knowing drawing. It's really quick and easy. If it uses the trace method of drawing, and what the block coloring does, I introduced it over a year ago into the Paintology, And while I was doing a drawing, while I waiting in the waiting room, while I was doing a drawing of the constable's famous painting, the Haywain, and I thought it was so I thought it was so, it came out really nice, and it got me to really get comfortable with the way Constable draws, makes his paintings, and then of course you get to see the tiny details. Like for example, if you know what the painting is about, it's about a small marshland with a building on the left and a far off scene in the rear, and of course a cart with a boy and a man, I believe, and a dog barking on the bottom left. And then you get to go and see the tiny details of this painting, and then you begin to realize that these paintings are done on large canvases, and then when the artist and then when the painter paints it, he doesn't spend time doing that cart. If you look at the cart in detail, you'll see some mishmash of colors. It's like just barely you can make out the cart wheel, and then just the top hat of the man. But still, yet when we go outside of this view and a few feet away, the eye immediately creates relates that image to something that we have seen, and then it formulates an image in our head and says that this is a man sitting on a cart, and then all the other aesthetics come into the painting as well. You know what I'm talking about. So the same thing applies in Paintology. We use the same philosophy of painting, which is I'm going to introduce you to the drawing process. It's a stepwise manner to getting from zero blank canvas to nothing at all. So if you are basically moved by what others people talk about apps, don't be. So one of my first um, tip to you is when you come to do something new or different, or even something that you're familiar with but you're not really there yet, you should remove some of that thinking and give yourself the opportunity to learn something new. The problem is you're not going to learn anything new if you're already familiar and you're already familiar with something and you're doing that. Then what's the reason of trying out something different, right? If you're not going to be open to it. So the very important thing is be like a sponge. Do not come with prejudice. Do not come with notions of you know what you're talking about. There's a lot of people who come to the app, and then they say it hasn't got this brush, this thing. And then, of course, I understand quite clearly why they say that, because they're so used to drawing with the other apps, and they're so used to having layers, blending, brushes. And if you want to use that, by all means, continue to use that with the other tools, but don't come here to expect the same expectations of tool sets, because here I'm showing you something far more valuable and important, which is art techniques, which you have heard of, but until now you've never been able to practice as you will in the Paintology app. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say for now, and then I'm going to talk about it as I go along. So first thing is get into trace mode. So you can also, if you have a subject or a drawing that you would like to draw, by all means, put it in, download it and use this trace mode of drawing and apply the same techniques. There's nothing different. I'm not picking any drawing and then like I'm going to stick to anime or I'm going to stick to one particular field because suddenly I've become specialized in it. Me, I like to draw anything and everything, yeah? And that's the beauty of drawing. And I happen to be a pretty proficient, advanced user of PaintShop, GIMP, CorelDRAW, but I don't use it for drawing. Drawing for me is a pleasurable experience, such as this, doing it by hand. So let's first keep our trace bar at the top half, and then that's going to pick a brush size. We still stick to the line brush, okay, even though we have many other brushes here. So stick to the line brush. The shade brush is an excellent brush for pencil, which is something I will tell you about, portraits or black and white, like pencil type drawings. So that's something I'm going to show you at some point in the live stream. But I do. If you are into this and you want to do the drawings, you want to learn, this is the perfect place for you. But I would also like anyone who has done some drawings and anyone who is interested in learning to post some questions or comment or feedback, anything that I can help you with to get going faster and so you can learn more quickly. And don't be shy, just put anything you down. I mean, I get the same comments time and time again. Excellent, wonderful, impressive, and that to me is, fine. It's flattering, but to me, more constructive criticism and more constructive information that helps me to understand you will help me to shape my tutorials better. So brush line, more brush, 100%, nothing there. I'm not going to show you this yet. So let's go to 13%, right? And let's see what that brush size does. So the reason I'm keeping this trace bar halfway above is entirely because, oops, this is not going down. It's entirely because at the top half, I'm able to use the color picker and get the color picker of the background, yeah? So that's what I'm able to do, color picker of the reference. The color picker here of the white, you see? All the color pickers. So first thing we're going to do, I think I will take that, no, leave that. I'm going to go and do the leaf, right? So the leaf is the most distinctive thing out there. So I'm going to take that. And then the beauty of drawing for me is that I always learn something all the time. But remember, I only learn something new if I try something new, okay? So that's important to understand. And I have a tendency not to do the same drawing, the same technique if I can help it, because that's not going to teach me how to improve, is it? Right? So I have different techniques that I can bring about whenever I feel the necessity, because that's the experience that one builds upon. But the beauty of this drawing with Paintology is that now these techniques can be actually conveyed to you, unlike traditional materials, where the work of art is unique. The work is unique to the artist and it's really difficult to convey to the student. But but right now, the way I'm drawing, you can see that you can follow along to it. You set the brush to 12, 13%, 100%, that's all. And now what I'm doing is I'm now tracing. This is very easy to follow. And trust me, this method of teaching you this art will rapidly develop your skill set. You'll be shocked at how quickly you can. So let's see what we have. That's the first. So that's the first step in the drawing, right? If you think I'm going to draw the leaf to its full and show you that, you're quite mistaken. First of all, I always start off by doing a blocky color and layer by layer. That's the drawing process. And this is something you're going to understand and appreciate tremendously as you do it. And now let's look at the background. Now I'm obviously going to tackle the background. And how am I going to do that? Let's save this. How am I going to tackle the background? Well, very simple, using the same block coloring. But notice that the background, like for example, I'm going to show you with a white brush here. Notice that around this area, no, let's show it to black color. Notice around this area is a similar tone. So this is where your development and appreciation of tone will be multiplied by drawing this way, okay? So tones, as you know, is some of the important topics covered in traditional mediums, right? And it's something that's always talked about in the art of drawing. It's a fundamental point in learning, okay? So there you see a tone there. And where else can you see a tone? Can you pick tones? Look at that, right? You can see there are tones here, right? And then tones here, right? I'm just tones I showed you here, and then a tone here, which is a lighter tone, and then it goes on and on and on. And these tones are what gives dimension to this. This is what all artists strive for, to replicate these tones. And then there's an oil artist who actually talks tones tremendously and then puts less emphasis on the drawing, just on the tones, and is able to make almost realistic drawings. And it's exactly the same manner what I'm showing here. When you mix colors to get the tones with oils, it's hard. But when you have this color picker, boy, is it easy. Look at all the color tones of the previous painting that I did here. Look at all this. This makes it far easier. And don't you want something that's far easy for you to learn quickly, right? Instead of worrying about how to mix which colors. Believe me, the subject of mixing colors is now really gone out the window, because unless you're doing traditional art, traditional painting and drawing, and if you stick to digital painting and drawing, you don't have to worry about mixing colors, because the kind of colors you're going to have to address in digital are infinite, and it's also helped by having the color picker. Okay, so let's get this to 22% because I want to capture some of these tones that are going on here. So I'm just going to go like this randomly here, and then go where these little tones are happening all over the place, and just build it up with this color, right? Just spot. So you can see it. There's a tone going here. So if I find a different tone, I'm obviously going to pick the color picker, right? Look at these tones here. I'm going to show you the color palette once I've just gone. See how that changes through here? This is your crucial understanding of tones, which is fundamental to drawing. Right here, see that here? So in the previous one, we had a, a gradual degradation of the background image. So I adopted a bigger brush and went, just drew it quickly, and then shaded and then blended it in. I'm going to show you this blending later, but right now I'm going to just capturing the different tones in the background. So sometimes the background can play an important role in the whole drawing. If you look at this whole image here, you can see the background adds a different impression. If you saw the leaf by itself, it doesn't add and conjure up an image of the leaf in its own environment. Here, it gives you the impression that it's in its own environment, and it's much more like natural, and it looks more pleasing to the eye, right? So, but the background you can see is diffused. So there's a lot of some activity going on in the background, but it's still diffused. And that's one. But the central focus is still on this leaf, which protrudes out from the right, yeah? just go quickly. And by the way, you can use your fingers. And this is the Samsung Note 10 that I'm using. Okay. So you may not have come across this method of digital drawing. And to me, this is something that I've been doing for a few years now. And I've made many drawings and paintings with this. And a lot of people are unable to tell whether I did this digitally or not. And most people think digitally has to be done with tools. And a lot of questions on that which I answered. And there's one lady who's saying that uh, in digital painting, I in digital painting at the end of the painting, I have to, like for example, when I'm drawing a portrait, like for example, she drew a portrait of a baby, and then she says I needed to add the foot, the hair at the end, and I said, really? I said, well, obviously, it made sense why she should say that because she was using the tools to create the art first, the digital tools, and then I said, why don't you use the do it manually in the first place? And unfortunately, I didn't get any response because I gave her an example as well. I think it probably opened her eyes. I hope it did. Do you think I'm going for any tools here? I'm going for any tools here. That's the problem is many people think that digital has to be done with tools and you need mastery of tools. Even GPTs, okay, sorry, I get confused with that, says that in order to become good at digital art, I typed in, what do you need? It actually makes the second or third point, you need technical mastery of the tools. Oh, really? I mean, here I'm not using any tool except one brush. So all you need, it obviously doesn't acknowledge that you need technical mastery of art techniques. It says the tools are the means to achieve those art techniques, which to me it says how majority of people do digital art, and that's the reason why my digital art is so vastly different to anyone else's. And it's more akin to traditional art. So now that you've got this method of painting, you should take full advantage of it, painting and drawing. So let's see what we have here now. So we've done this background color. We've missed out some areas here. So let's just go here and just put that, yeah. So there you are. So that's what we have as one of the second or third step. Let's save that. And now what we've got here is a very blocky drawing of something that we want to do, but it's by no means finished. There are more steps to it. So this is where I'm going to introduce you to the subject of the drawing process. And what the drawing process means, trust me, the drawing process is the process of drawing of any artwork. You might have seen hundreds of artworks done in acrylics, oil colors, or anything, any art medium you can think of. They start with sculpturing or anything. They first start off with having a very crude painting, and then they gradually build it up. They continue to build it up until they end to the final. That's the drawing process. That's all you need to know for now. And what the drawing process is something that is intuitive to the artists themselves, and it's very difficult for them to convey that drawing process to the student, and unless they do a one-to-one and then take you through step by step. Here's my thinking at step number one. Maybe let's say a drawing process is 100 steps. Here's my Here's my the next step, step 3. This is what I'm looking at. Look, I looked at the ear of this horse and I feel like I need to improve it and add these colors to it. That's could be a step, right? So they go through this continued thinking, which is not the exact process of doing something. And that's the reason why they're not able to convey that fully to the student, because the student needs to develop their own drawing process. But the drawing process can be distilled and broken down much better on the digital medium, like I'm showing you. Because, first of all, you don't have to worry about getting the same tools. And secondly, traditional is very dependent on the skill set of the teacher. For example, the teacher may know how to shade 10 degrees better than you because they know how to apply the pressure. But they can't teach you and tell you, hey, no, you got this shade because you applied 0.65% of the pressure that I apply. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. But you can actually do this with the Paintology. I can show you this density setting here and tell you exactly where you need to be to achieve, and that gives you more encouragement to continue. So the drawing process is really the journey from zero to finish. To me, it is the reason why people paint and draw. That drawing process, that drawing journey, and I'd like you to, enjoy the same as the other people as the millions of others who enjoy drawing. So let's see what we're going to do here, right? I'm going to try something different. There you are. My experimental mindset is back. So I'm going to change this to a shade brush, right? Okay, so I've got the shade brush and I'm going to pick this color here, and then I've got the 22%. I've got the shade at hardness at 100%. Let me just shade this. See that? You see how I've taken and removed the hardness with the shade brush. The shade brush is just like what it is. It's the ability to shade, you're shading it just like a pencil. So all you're doing. So here. So I'm going to go. I think my daughter's going to finally realize that I got her secret of shading, because she's a better shader than me and she likes the shade brush. So I'm going to have to tell her when she comes out of school, I found your secret. So I would have opted for the line brush, but I'm finding this shade brush is working beautifully to give me the, the sort of, look at this kind of effect that I'm looking for, okay? So I got it 100%, nothing more. So just experimenting. And then I think I will have passed my daughter's approval. She's 9 years old, by the way, on the use of the shade, and she will give me a tick because she's really excellent in art and she's learns, and I'm learning from her as well. Her line drawing is much better than my line drawing. She's really excellent in her ability in line drawing. So there you are. Look how beautifully it's shading, right? I'm picking the dark colors and then moving into the light areas. That's all I'm doing. Right, look. I think it shades it very nicely. So I'm glad I picked this, because I would have gone and continued to use the line brush and showed you how the density worked. But this is another type of effect that you can do. And had you not experimented or had been comfortable with doing it that way, I would have perfected the line brush. But this is so much better. I'm beginning to think that this will be the de facto standard for creating shade, and I wonder how my daughter's going to feel when I tell her that I've discovered her secret. But mind you, it wasn't a secret. She always told me she uses this shade brush, just that I wouldn't listen. Too stubborn, I think. Okay, so here. All right, look at this. Beautiful. And remember, we're right at the bottom of the scale, which is our painting only. So I'm picking this color. Let me take this color to the next area here. Right, beautiful. It's so easy. It's incredibly easy. I cannot tell you. So this is just using the line. In fact, I've made so many lines and so many drawings with just simply the line and the shade brush. That's all I need to make photorealistic drawings. So easy. So these are techniques I'm showing you. Nothing to do with the tools. I'm not using blending tools, blurring tool, you name it. God, can you imagine how much control I would need for the tools to get to do every kind of blending in here? Maybe they have an automatic blending, I don't know, but I don't care to use digital tools for something like this. So let's just go over it very quickly. No big deal. Very quickly. Okay. Look how it's sort of blending beautifully into the background. Oh, that's part of the leaf. So we don't want to. Let's have a look. Look at that. See how it's sort of blended beautifully, right? Keep doing it. We've got 22%, and then there's 100%. You can keep it 100%. Okay, that's all you need. Right, because this will be quicker. Then pick the dark color and blend it to the lighter area. Okay, that's all there is. It's actually very much more quicker and more effective, in my opinion, than just using the line brush and reducing the density, right? Because there's so much going on here. You could use the line brush if you had a larger patch that you're trying to blend, but when you have little tiny patches of different tones going on, it's probably better to use the shade. Let's see, it's up to you to whether to use the dark and blend it to the light. You can play along with this. And then I actually did the clouds. You may find some clouds tutorial that I did still using the hardness, the line brush, and setting the line density. But now I've discovered this way. You see, you learn everything all the time, and I'm the first one to admit that I've learned something here. So now, when I do a cloud next, I'm going to actually apply this method of shading here, and then I'll be keen to see how it works. Okay. Okay, see how quick that was? So quick. Creativity now has been multiplied with digital, I think. Now you don't have to worry about the tools. I wonder when ChatGPT is going to update its findings, but mind you, it needs to, it's probably going on the basis of all the other digital artists. So you probably, ask questions on platforms saying, how would you? And then some of them encourage you to use a Wacom tablet and that. It really depends. I'm not going to say no to it. It really depends on if you want to make a career. But if you're also trying to get a feel for what digital drawing is all about, then this is probably a good way to start. And then don't invest in heavy tools like Wacom unless you're pretty sure that that's the direction you want to go. Because I've never been interested in, I've been always interested in graphics, but not to make a career out of it, because my career is more dependent on technology and art, really. Technology being Paintology, not being doing art with Paintology. Look at that, how beautiful it just blends. It's a beautiful technique. Can't wait to tell my daughter that I've discovered her secret. Well, she'll be pleased anyway. Alright, there, just so quickly, rapid. Don't spend too much time. And when you get a feel for it, you'll know there are a lot of things you can do. Let's see where we are on this. Wow, pretty impressive, isn't it? How we created that thing. It's very nice. Have you seen that? There's a little on that blob that I left deliberately. Seen that? There's a blob, but I'm going to have to take that down and we can add that blob later on. I'll show you how it's done. For now, let's add that blob. Okay, so what we can do is take some of this colors and then just blend it in for now. Right, not worrying about the details of it. And now we've done that beautiful background, we can now get back. So you can see, let's save that here. So you can see right away, oops, cancel that, save that, save. Okay, let's save that. You can see right away how hardness, if I talk about the subject of hardness and density and opacity comes into the picture here, because you can see that the softness of the background is there, which highlights this foreground. That's why the initial image was beautiful to look at, wasn't it? It was very pleasing to look at. So we're going to, now you can expect that I'm going to not use the shade brush, but I'm going to go back to the line brush and then continue with actually making this leaf, and providing more details to this leaf. So now what I'm going to do is block coloring, back to block coloring again. And now remember we had 10%. We're going to take it down. Rule of thumb is take it down each time after you've gone through the drawing steps in the drawing process. Yeah. And then you'll find that you'll be able to add more details to it. So here, right. So I'm just using this brush to give more details to this, the colors that are really at that low level in a sort of a microscopic level, right? So that's all I'm doing. So, and I've got 100%. a hardness still. And then here we could do the same here. We got that. Get these colors, put it down. Remember, I'm halfway up there, so I can pick the tones that see these tones. So again, doing it at this such low level, at a high magnification, almost like 500%, means we get really down to the detailed nitty-gritty of the tones that make up this drawing, okay? There. So I'm not relying on any tools, just creating the basics crux of with the bigger brush. Again, continuously picking the color picker, right? Okay, and then moving along the leaf to pick these varied tones that are happening here all over, and continuously picking the color tone. Okay. All right, there, can you see it? There. So any of the tones that I picked up using the broad brush is now further accentuated with the smaller range of tones that are happening at a microscopic level, right? And it will give more detail and more resolution to this leaf that we're trying to draw now. Makes sense, right? It's quite intuitive, but now you can see that it's clearly laid out in Paintology, yeah? Clearly laid out. In the digital medium, so much easier to appreciate. You don't have to go so quickly, just take your time. I'm just going through it quickly because I have to finish this class. I have to finish this drawing in one go, and usually I draw fast anyway, so it's not like I'm slow or anything. I actually draw very fast. See these details there? Just capture these tones here. That's all you need to do. There. Okay, let's see what we've got. See, we've got more details right away. See how quickly we've added those details? That's the real way of drawing, isn't it? Now we continue to improve on that. Let's save that. That was really done really quickly. And then let's do the same thing, working from the droplet all the way to the stem of the leaf, and then adding more details, right? So 3.5%, I'm beginning to find that spending all my time at the lowest percentage here. 2%, okay? Let's go to 2%, right? And now this is something interesting we can do. See this drawing here? There's a lot of like a diffuse type of effect, means like a blending. So this is where I'm going to take the brush of the line brush to 40%, let's say, right? And then I'm going to try and capture those. So what does this 40% density means? Well, think of this way, right? You have this at 100%. That's the color of the green you see here. That's the color of the green. And then you basically, your brush becomes like an ink pen. Now you go to 50%, it means the opacity of that green is reduced by half, and then you have to, like just like a pencil, keep going over it a few times to get to the actual tone, to the final tone. And as you go in density here, it naturally means you have to you have more strokes to get to the final tone. So that gives it what you call the tones that are necessary for this, for real drawings, right? So I'm keeping it 40% and I'm going to try and see what happens. I'm going to switch to a different mode of drawing. So basically I'm here into my drawing and then I'm going to go here because I put down a lot of the drawing and so it's hard for me to see what I'm doing in the halfway. So I'm going to switch between my drawing by clicking on this right lower trace bar and then flicking, right? And then I've got a good brush size and then I pick the color tone and then just see how the tones change. I still think that's quite big, so I'm going to take it to 30%. Now here I'm going to pick this dark tone and then just, okay, I feel I need to go to a smaller, but since I'm only showing you this, I feel like that I should stick to this brush because otherwise it will take you a long time to get these tiny details, and you don't need to. You can pull it off with bigger brushes. Yeah, because artists don't spend that much time. Okay, and like see this, it's like a pearl shaped type of ball, isn't it? But it's got all these different beautiful colors coming into play here, isn't it? Dark here, okay, and then here, some dark there. Then have we got any dark there? Yeah, we have some dark here. So just, and then we got some dark on this side. Okay. Then purple maybe here. It's really lovely set of colors, isn't it? And then we got this white here. Look at that. This white we can build up like the bottom of the here. Oops. And then build up this white here. Okay, just that white bit. And have we got some white here? Yeah, we've got some really bright white there. Some green. Right, and then some dark here. Right, okay. And then we have this green here. That's, so we can blend it. So remember, it's a blending tool. It's nothing different. And then we have some bit of white there, a bit of white there. Okay. And let's see how this looks. Look at that. How quickly that we managed to do that. We get away with it because we've managed to zoom in and create some of the shapes of that droplet. Just enough. That's what I was telling you earlier when I did the block coloring. It allowed me to zoom in on the cart. There's just a small component of the whole drawing, and it was a splurge of colors, nothing. It was just white that showed the streak, showed the outline of the cart, but yet our eyes formulates an object, a real world object that we can associate with, yeah? So this one, you see how little I did and still managed to bring out the illusion of detail, yeah? So we got 2%. I mean, if I were to do this photographically, trust me, I would be at 1%. So, yeah. And if you want to do hyperrealism, that's a completely different story, isn't it? You can actually do hyperrealism. So I feel that I need to go up. You know what? I'm going to try and take that down, and let me cheat a little bit and take that there. Look at that. Do that. Take that down there, and then still have that white that's coming up here. Okay. And look at that lovely notch here. We'll add that notch. And we add that green that's going on here. Okay. And then we'll just focus on the out perimeter of the leaf, nothing more. We'll get to the body a little bit later. But for now, I just want to focus on the out, because it's going to make a difference to what it's going to make a difference to the diffused area we did in the background. This one. Wow, look how we've done that. So here, be careful, right? Here we want to pick our own colors, because we don't want to go over the background again if we can help it. So let's pick our background color. Okay, and then here, let's do that here. And look at that layer, it's a beautiful green. That's good. Here, and look at this layer, so beautiful. I don't know what it is. I think it's one of those spiky leaves, isn't it? Got that layer, spiky leaves. Beautifully spiky leaf. And I'm just picking the color to match, and we will finish this here. Nothing complicated. And then if you want to add that deep green in there, by all means just do it. And then this tone's getting here a little bit greenish, although it's, and then here it's slightly sort of pinkish and greenish, but it's actually matching the background color. That's why we couldn't find it. And then here, oh wow, look at that, there and there. Then we need to add this green. Okay, all right, let's see what the top looks like now. Well, now it's difficult for me to tell the difference between my drawing and the actual. That's a sure sign that you know, such a rewarding thing when you see something like that. And now let's go to the bottom. Wow, look at this. So compared to the last one, you can see how the edges are sharp. So we're going to pick the green. It's more or less the same green that goes. And then we can correct. Look at this deep dark green. It's got those little notches there, and it ends there, okay? So that's the two areas that I'm going to tackle. And then it got this green here, and then this green goes here, okay? And then it has that beautiful light green here, which is the start of the notch. This beautiful green notch. So you can understand a lot about plants if you draw it. Okay, and then we're going to clean it up. You can see this green, beautiful green, isn't it? And then we're going to clean up the edges because we remember I'm basically using the different background, so therefore I'm going to have to blend it with my own background that we did, remember earlier? So I'm not using the same background as, okay, so here. And do we have any more notches? Of course, we've got notches going around all the way through. Look, I'm just using a crisscross shape of that green. That's why I use the notch again. So you can say, why don't I just go and do all the notches, but they're different. Remember, the colors are different. That's what the tones come into it, and that gives it, if you were to use the same color, you won't give it dimension. The dimension that gives the drawing volume. Okay, we're almost there. You're gonna say, how do you get the speckled image that's shown here? Let's see what it looks like. Much better, isn't it? And then what we can do is before we do that, I'd like to go to the rest here. Can you see here? Let's save this. So before we do that, let's see if we need to do any blending. Here, can you see some dark stem that just goes from here to all the way down there, and then another one here. Okay, so let's see that again here, and then some here, and then here, right? So what we can do is, can we still use the brush we've got? We can, or do we have to do some blending? You can see this is an area that we can do blending. So what we can do, take blending means we need to take, let's see, blend this area, okay? Let's see, just blend it here, let's see, perfect. All right, and then are there any areas that we can blend? Well, I can see we can blend this area here. So we've got a pretty good blending configuration setting. And then here we can blend this. The brush is a bit too big for this small area, so we just reduce it. No big deal. Right, anything we can blend here? Some of that green. Right there. Right, and then what do we have here? Yeah, we have some of that green. So let's blend that green. There you are. And then have we got anything there going on? We've got some of that grey that's like just flowing here. And then this one needs blending, right? Well, it's not really blending as such. It's actually quite unusual in the sense that this area's got a little bit of texture on it, and we'll do that texture. Let me just finish this blending of this color, this greenish gray here that's happening here on this. And this, in case you're wondering how to do that thickness, take it all the way down And look at these green bits. You might have to increase that. There, can you see it? How quickly you can add that? You didn't think it was possible, did you? Look at that. See? A little bit of adding texture. That's all you're doing. Texture. The more textures? Wow, there's more texture that goes around here. Alright, I'm going to add these textures. Increase that. You get a feel for what tonal changes you need. What tones. Look at that. Now they've got that white. We can spread that white. See that there? That white is just going over. And let's pick the same white there. That white is going there. And just, we can create our own. Why? Don't have to. We can get away with it. Why not? Right, and then we've got the blending here. This, so there's need to increase that. Just get that blended here, okay? Because we don't want any like. We got anything here? Yeah, let's blend that. And here, blend this. That green. Okay. Yeah. We got anything there? Now let's see what it looks like. Wow, is that my drawing? Yep, it sure is. So anyway, here it is, right? I think we couldn't call that finished, right? What do you think? Let's have a look there. I don't feel like that this needs to just perhaps diffuse into it. Yep, this is our drawing. And here's a photorealistic drawing of a water droplet. So I hope you enjoyed it. This was a quick drawing actually, not much effort on my part. And I hope you can make the same drawing. I'd love to see your drawings. So let's take it down, pick a green or lighter green color. Okay. Paintology. All right. There. Zoom in. So there you are, Paintology. This is like a very good, I think, an impressive. You can get away with it. This is what you'll find as you go through the journey of drawing. So let me recap what I've shown you here. So I started off the block coloring of the background using this smaller brush size than normal, and then I used my daughter's method of shading, diffusing the blocky areas using the shade brush, switch to shade brush. Then once I've done the background, I also did the block coloring of the leaf as well because that's prominent. And then I went back to the leaf after I've diffused the background and then used the harder brush and then created the tones. Reduced the brush size so I could get more tonal details, kept the density high, the line brush, in order to keep the foreground image looking more prominent and distinctive to the diffused background. And then I showed you how to do that water droplet at the bottom, which was done very rapidly with little effort, and it was done with a 2% brush. And then I continued to blend the rest of the leaf. The bigger areas I increased the brush size, and then I varied the density as well. So it's very, very important that you experiment. Don't follow me exactly word to word, but you do have a platform for experimenting. And if you do experiment and you tell me, hey, produce, I made a mistake on that. How do I get what happened to this? Can you look at it? And then if you record it and you have a video, I may look, I could look at it and find out where the issue is, but I'd most likely be able to tell you from looking at the drawing where you probably need improving, yeah? And what you probably missed out. That's very important to the whole drawing process. So I hope you enjoyed this, and then until we meet again, so check out the previous one I did on Paintology of the similar drawing, and then you'll see how it's slightly different in the techniques I've used. And so I hope to see you again soon. Don't forget to subscribe and keep me motivated. And then I will see you tomorrow for another session. And please do give me ideas on what to use for subjects for drawing, okay? Thank you very much. See you soon. Bye.